This painting is about how I taught my now girlfriend how to cut an onion. On our first date, I showed her around the city I live in, Den Bosch. I'm a big fan of. And if you're ever around, I would definitely recommend you to come by. It's a very beautiful city. And after that, we were going to make some dinner. Before the date started, she told me she wasn't a very good cook. She said this. What she meant in a joking way, I guess I didn't really catch it very well. She said that the children she feeds would cry, which is true, but she isn't really that bad of a cook, just that children are children, and they cry sometimes when they need to eat weird stuff. She said she didn't know very well how to cut vegetables, or she probably didn't say that, okay? I probably just imagined that, and I tried to help or explain how I did it. So I explained her how to cut some onions, but yeah, she knew, and that was funny. But that's what the painting is about. Explaining how to cut onions while she knew. Kind of embarrassing. The story I'm gonna write about this, of course I'm not gonna say that story. I'm gonna be like, she didn't know how to cut an onion, because I don't want to admit that. The undercoat of this painting is Bismuth Vanadate Yellow. Normally I use yellow ochre, a little bit less bright. I probably tried this before. I don't know what I thought. Honestly, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I don't know, maybe art nerds have big opinions about that. It makes a difference. If you use a dark color, it's very visible. I'm not sure if it matters that much. I think trying to explore these kinds of ideas to just the daily life, I don't think this is the best. I don't think I'm trying to depict the most important thing ever with this painting. Honestly, when I look at a lot of art historically, or has some kind of historical importance, I think it's more interesting because it's not this magical topic or something. But over time, when people analyze it, it needs to get some kind of importance. Otherwise, what's the point of looking at it? That kind of thing. Anyway, that's just kind of my critique of art culture, I guess. But yeah, I think these kinds of topics are the most interesting, where it's just a fun story to tell. And in this scenario, I was absolutely humiliated. I felt so ashamed when my now girlfriend admitted that, yeah, she does know how to cut an onion, obviously. And I think that's the fun part. I get to be a loser. We're all losers sometimes. I'm biased, but I think making art is important. I don't think necessarily it has to be, but I choose to think it's important. Any kind of self-expression is nice for you as a person, as you get to see yourself grow. You get to remind yourself what you used to be. It's easy to forget. We are complicated organisms. One example is I have a lot of diaries, kind of, not really, kind of. And if I read in those, there's a lot of ideas in there that I still share. I wouldn't express them like I did before, but I see ideas that I still really feel are very true. And I think there's value in capturing your ideas in a way anyway, making art or painting or making music or whatever. If you do choose to make that important, then I think there's value in trying to explore different ways. One of them, which I think is fun, is to explore and to try to express situations that happen. I think there's many challenges, what kind of ideas do you try to capture? Because there's a lot of stuff that happens. This one, you can't think it's a little bit more important to me, but it was just one of the many fun stories I could tell. And there's also a lot of less important events that happened every day that I think are also interesting, because they tell you something about how your life is at that moment. Part of why I get kind of annoyed when people overanalyze art of these great masters. It's really easy to do when you start talking about Jeroen Bosch, who lived in the city I live in. He captured a fork or a spoon, branded in a certain way, and you can give meaning to that, but in reality it was largely just stuff that was around him. That was very interesting. It makes me sad when people try to analyze it like he was a genius. When you explain or try to explain what someone is capturing, what kind of art someone is making, it's really easy to sound like it's more than what it is. And I think that's sometimes a shame. Because what it is, in its boring self, is already very interesting. I'm pretty happy with how these sketches turned out. the sketch of my girlfriend shares much of her likeness in a very simple way. I showed it to her. I don't think she loved it. It's a little bit cartoonish, maybe. It's very stylized, at least. And now I would never pretend either to care a lot about accurate sketches. I think the important part is to be able to convey some message, some story, some feeling at least. And I don't think it's very necessary for that to have 100% clear sketches. But I do think sometimes it's nice for people to know what you're trying to resemble. And I think with this one, I wonder how my family, especially my dad, who has a good eye for that kind of thing, I wonder how they look at it. They recognize it a lot. This is slightly unrelated. It's about caffeine. Or coffee, but caffeine, really. I have on again, off again relationship with coffee, caffeine, both. Either I really love the caffeine high. But when I talk to people about a caffeine high, a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy. They never, like, they drink coffee, they drink stuff with caffeine, but they don't experience a high. And I don't understand. Okay, because it's very clear to me, and when I don't drink a lot of caffeine at the start, there's a very clear, like, I feel awake and super energetic, sometimes like even social, more social than I normally am, I guess. And then if I get a little bit of a tolerance, that goes away. Even if it doesn't make me feel awake, I feel a high. You would with anything else. A lot of people don't understand what I'm talking about when I say that. That's kind of weird. I like that high, even if it is like a high, but it's not always like good or nice, but I still want it. I still chase it. I have something with that, which is why I try to stay away from other stuff, because I have that chasing a high mentality or tendency to do so. It's not good, but what can you do? Anyway, the reason why I say that is because now I'm getting more addicted to coffee again, but I feel like I'm almost at the point where I'm gonna quit again, which doesn't mean much, because I quit like 2 months ago and then started again, and yeah, it's something to keep me busy, or to do something, right? But it's always weird to me that when people that do drink caffeine regularly tell me that they don't understand what I mean with a caffeine high. Because why would you drink coffee if you don't care about the high? Maybe if you care about the taste, I guess, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of people do, but maybe I'm wrong. Because that's why most people drink sugar and milk in their coffee. It's like masking the taste of the coffee itself. So if you're doing that, why even bother with coffee? Just drink something else. But yeah, they do anyway. People do weirder stuff.